Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington. Finally, Rocky is getting her title shot, and we've been watching her for such a long time. She was on that season Ultimate Fighter with Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate as the coaches. She climbed the ladder. She didn't win that season. We remember Raquel Pennington ended up losing, and who won that? Juliana ended up winning that season along with Chris Holdsworth of Team Alpha Male. But Raquel Pennington growing since that, what was that, 4 years ago now, maybe even more, finally getting her shot at Amanda Nunes, which a lot of people are bummed out because they did want to see Chris Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes. That was the fight that the UFC was trying to book for International Fight Week. We were going to have Stipe versus DC. We were going to have TJ versus DJ. We were going to have Chris Cyborg versus Amanda. Well, cut that one out of there. There still is a possibility of us seeing DJ versus TJ. That is still on the table. And we all know UFC 225, is it UFC 25 or 226, that we're going to see DC versus Stipe International Fight Week for the Ultimate Fighter season finale to start things off. But we can count out Amanda Nunes versus Cyborg until further notice, unless something happens here. You never know. You never know what happens. Raquel Pennington, right off the bat, I do not think she is favored to win this fight, even though if you look at her last couple of fights, I mean, she was my standout female fighter for 2016. And you could say that about 2017, even though she wasn't as active in 2017. She has just been slaying girls left and right. But if I'm thinking about this matchup in my head, Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington, I think if she can take on the oncoming storm in that first round, I still think it's going to be a very tough fight for Raquel Pennington. I see Amanda Nunes getting this win. I do not see it going 5 rounds. But as we get closer to the fight, like I say, I don't like to make early predictions, but that's just my early take, where my mind is just sending it. I'm seeing Amanda getting this win probably by the 3rd round. Let me know what you guys think about this. What's your initial take on this? Are you excited to see this? Were you excited to see Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes? Or does this please your appetite? Let me know on Twitter at Evil_. Also, Jimmy Rivera versus Marlon Morales is going down. And this is such a shame because Jimmy Rivera, he was so close. He was right there. Had the fight booked with Dominic Cruz. We had him on the show to discuss it. Following Dominic Cruz's interview on Ariel Helwani's show, I was able to get Jimmy's take on how he felt about that interview and what Dominic was saying about him. Because Jimmy was on my show less than a year ago talking about how he wanted to retire Dominic Cruz like he retired Uriah Faber. Now, if you don't know Jimmy Rivera, he's the top of this bantamweight division. I believe he's number 2 or number 3 contender. He's been on a killing spree. He's on like a 29-fight win streak or something crazy like that. And now he's matched up against Marlon Moraes, who, if you guys aren't familiar with, he is under the Frankie Edgar camp, was champion for World Series of Fighting for a while. I even watched him cage side at World Series of Fighting on New Year's Eve in New York City. We've seen what he is capable of in the UFC, fighting people like Rafael Assunção, which is a very tough fight for anybody in that weight division. Came short in that fight, but Jimmy Rivera, man, he has a lot to lose here, and Marlon has a lot to gain off Jimmy's name. Jimmy is right there. I mean, this is another case of, what do? Do you wait for Dominic Cruz to heal up and stay on the sidelines and you know, keep training kids at your gym, at Tiger Schulman's, or do you stay active like Frankie Edgar was trying to do? Which is a little different case. I mean, that fight was scheduled and still 2 weeks to go. A little different case for Jimmy Rivera here. But Jimmy Rivera, man, I mean, he had that amazing fight that went so unnoticed in 2017 against Thomas Almeida. I still think that was one of the best fights of 2017, especially, hands down, for that bantamweight division. Thomas Almeida versus Jimmy Rivera. This is going to be an exciting fight. And it's supposed to be scheduled for UFC Fight Night in Utica. I do not know the exact date for that. And also the Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington, that is scheduled for UFC 224, May 12th. Jimmy Rivera, man, I mean, you're right there. It's a tough decision, tough call. Marlon is a tough fight. But when you're at the top and you're in the elite of the UFC, you have to take the next contender. which in this case is Marlon. So we'll try to get Jimmy Rivera back on Pure Evil MMA for you guys. If you have questions, definitely shoot them on Twitter once again. This next one isn't a fight announcement, so to say, but he was recently on our show as well, and I thought this was really funny as an announcement. Elias Theodoro is going to be the ring boy for Invicta FC. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have heard this. I need to get him on the show to talk a little bit more about this, to talk more about the main, and talk more about what his future lies for the fight game, because his last couple of fights, people really have one foot in, one foot out with Elias his entire career, whether he was on the Ultimate Fighter in Canada, all the way up until now. But little quirky things like this helps build character, which you guys know I'm a fan of. You gotta love Elias. I mean, this is a guy, he's on the cover of like 6 romance novels. He's just such a great character, such a great sport, a great face for our sport, a model. I mean, a man of many trades here, and not many losses in the UFC. So I think it's absolutely hilarious that and I really hope Shannon Knapp takes this and runs with it and makes something with it. I mean, I can't see him doing it all night long. And if he did, every time he did it, it would have to be in different lingerie or something crazy. They should have fun with it, though. You know what I mean? They should have fun with this. Take him up on the offer. I think it's a question that a lot of girls have wondered in the past. When the girl fights, why aren't there guys out there carrying around ring cards? I've heard it all before, trust me. Take Elias up on this, Shannon Knapp. And, big shout out to Elias on there. But I had to say it in case anybody out there wasn't familiar with Elias's last interview on the MMA Hour of him talking about this. You can go back and listen to it. Last announcement, I kind of brushed by it before. Rampage Jackson versus Vanderlei Silva. I just saw Vanderlei as I was walking out Bellator the other day. As always, right next to Royce Gracie. I was able to talk with him for a couple of minutes, but he would not let me know anything about upcoming fights, and he obviously knew he was going to be fighting Rampage, but here it is announced this week. Rampage Jackson versus Vanderlei Silva 4 has been booked. Now, this is the classic Bellator fight, right? And throughout the year, you're going to get a couple of these rematches at some point when you have these older stars. But people will be tuning in for it. That's the thing. I'll tune in to watch the 4th fight, without a doubt. I tuned in to watch Shamrock versus Hoyt. I tuned in. I'll be tuning in. It's sad, but at the same time, people tune in. And you saw it with Kimbo versus Data. The second time I brought it up on today's show. You saw the numbers that brought in 3 million viewers tuned in to see Data versus Kimbo. People will tune in to see Rampage versus Vanderlei. Trust me. Trust me. People will tune in to see Tito versus Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell is still my dad's generation. When I was in high school, my dad would be watching UFC events with his buddies, and they all love Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell is their poster boy. I mean, amongst the motorcycle guys, So if Chuck Liddell came back, my dad would be all about that. There is a community of people that think Chuck Liddell is the face of MMA still. They probably wouldn't even know he retired. Which is a shame, which is sad, which shows how much they keep up with the sport. But our sport's still growing, but Chuck Liddell will always be a face of our sport. And if you say he has an upcoming fight, people will watch. Trust me, people will watch. That does it for our fight announcements this week.